Well, today we're doing a brake job on the van. I went and got parts. I ended up spending in just about $200. Show you what we got. So I got brand new rotors, both front rotors, pads, wheel bearing seals, brake fluid. Like I said, cost me about $180. So we're gonna get the van jacked up here and get busy. Okay, so now it's time to get the rotor pulled off. So we need to pop this cap here to access the nut that's holding the rotor on. It's usually held in with an extra little safety nut with a cotter pin. So we'll get this popped off, see what we're working with. Okay, so we got that cap off there. As you can see, there's a cotter pin here. We'll need to bend that out, remove the pin, remove this nut here, and slide out the wheel bearings, get the rotor off, work on getting the new rotor on there. Okay, and this nut here shouldn't be too tight, so we'll try to get it with a, here channel locks. Okay, we're gonna pull this rotor off. This wheel bearing is gonna come out with it, so I'm gonna make sure that doesn't fall on the ground there. There we are. So I got my dad here, he's helping me out packing the wheel bearings there. If anyone's ever wondered how you pack a wheel bearing, that's the little technique there. Just kind of mash the bearing into it and it will start coming out the top of the bearing. That's when you know it's fully packed. This is the rest of them over here, all packed. So we got those set. They gave us these, what are these called again?
Races.
Races?
Race, bearing race.
A bearing race. These were kind of extra because the ones in the new rotors came with these already pressed in there. So I'll just set those aside, hold on to them, and we'll just have to replace the bearings. Alright, so we got the inner wheel bearing pressed in there. There's a seal here. I had to buy a new seal that comes with the bearing. Actually, it didn't come with it, but purchased it. So that's pressed in there. Just took a hammer, a block of wood, and just made sure it's pressed in nice and even. So we'll get the rotor up on the spindle there. Okay, then we'll go in with the outer wheel bearing and do the reverse, get that nut on there, and the cotter pin. We'll have to torque that. And these rotors here, from the factory, they've got like an oil on it to keep them from rusting, and you don't want that on there, so you can use a brake cleaner to spray all that off of there, or something like paint thinner or something. Okay, let's get the caliper with the new pads up on there. Okay, we're looking good. We pretty much have everything buttoned up. We're gonna have to get this brake line reattached, torque this nut here. We'll get the little cap on there, the cotter pin, and then do the other side. Once the other side is done, we'll have to bleed the brakes, go for a test drive, and hopefully everything will be all good. Okay, well that took about an hour and a half for just the one side, so we'll see how long it takes for the second, get everything buttoned up. Okay, so for bleeding the brakes here, this is the brake bleeder, and I've just pushed this hose on there. This isn't necessary, the hose, it just keeps it from being such a messy job. I just got a little tub here to catch the fluid. And the whole idea is to get pressure in the system, and I got my dad inside. He's gonna pump the brake pedal to build up pressure. I'll open this up and it'll let out all the air and fluid. Should get some air and then some fluid with bubbles, and then once it's solid fluid, then we know that this is bled. Then we'll go to the other side. We started with the back passenger, back driver, now over front passenger, and then we'll finish with the front driver side. So we'll get this going. Okay, pump it. One more time. Okay, we got solid fluid. Alright, well, we got the brakes done on the van. That feels good to have that out of the way. Super grateful for my dad's help. He just was there to let me borrow his tools. He helped pack the wheel bearings, a couple other things, helped me pump the brakes. It's good to do some work with him, enjoy spending time with my father. And we got the brakes done. It's awesome. Saved me a lot of money. My dad used to be a mechanic years ago, so I was raised working on my own vehicles. It's funny, we were talking about my first vehicle was a 1972 Volkswagen Beetle. I think I bought it for like $400. It was in pretty nice shape, but it would pop out of second gear. So we found a used transmission at a salvage yard, I think for like $100. Installed it myself with his help. So I've kind of always, since I've owned vehicles, been working on my own vehicles. Not only does it save you a lot of money, but you learn something. Hopefully you can help someone else out if they need some help. But anyway, I do have a coolant leak in this van. I've mentioned it before. I've had this coolant leak since I pretty much hit the road. I'm pretty sure it's leaking from the freeze plug that is in the bell housing. That's where the transmission meets the motor. I've done freeze plugs before. It's usually not that difficult. It's fairly inexpensive to do. The part is cheap. It's just the labor. But because mine is where the transmission meets the bell housing, you need to pull the transmission, which I don't have the tools or a transmission jack to do that. So I'm going to go to a shop I've used before. It's a friend of mine's mechanic. They do good work. It's usually fairly priced. So I'm hoping they have some room to get me in. It would be great to have this done before the end of the week. Got the money to do it, so I just need to get it taken care of. It's been leaking very little, but if that freeze plug were to completely blow through, lose all my coolant, overheat, it could be a disaster on the road. So it'd be really smart for me to take care of this. So we'll see what they can do for me. Well, I stopped by the shop. I was able to get an appointment for this coming Friday morning, so they're going to get me in before the weekend. Hopefully they can do the repair as well. I'm hoping it's not too expensive. I'm prepared to pay for it. I need to have that fixed. I'm not able to diagnose it myself. I've tried and tried. I'm almost positive it's that freeze plug. So talked to the owner of the shop. He seems to think that it's probably that, but they'll definitely make sure that it's not leaking from anywhere else first before they pull that transmission. Sometimes it could be something somewhere else and it's running along the engine block. You're just not seeing it and it drips down there, so they want to be real sure before they do it. I'm just coming into Lake Murray here. This is one of my old hangouts when I was van dwelling in San Diego. One of the things I realized with my van is I have turned around the passenger seat backwards to face towards the back of the van. And in doing that, you're not able to remove the doghouse. The doghouse is the engine cover on the inside of the van. On most vans, you access the front of the engine through the hood, the back of the engine through the inside of the van. You remove the little doghouse that covers the van, and you can't remove it with this seat reversed. So I'm going to have to clear out all my junk before I bring it in and turn that seat around again so they can remove the doghouse easily. So that's going to be a little bit of a hassle. Fortunately, I am still in San Diego. I'll probably take advantage of my parents' house and remove a lot of the junk that's up on the front seat and reverse that seat around or turn it back to the right side. And then that way they can do their work. I usually park in a little upper lot here, but it's closed off. They must going to be repaving it or something.